devotional poems. I think you could fake being a devotional painter. You could be a painter who didn't believe in God and pretend you did for patronage. You couldn't fake being John Donne or George Herbert. I couldn't do without their work. I couldn't do without Gothic architecture or devotional music either. I wouldn't trust anyone who did, who had no feeling for this. And people who don't know what the numinous and the transcendent feel like, who don't experience anything, combinations of landscape and music and poetry, and also the melancholy of one's own life, the realization that we're going to die, and that our children actually need us to do so. Other melancholy reflections of this kind are, to that extent, not poetic, not human, not literary, not civilized. But the supernatural adds to this absolutely zero, it seems to me, and in some ways subtracts from its grandeur and its seriousness. So I'm one of those who Pascal is actually thinking about, or was thinking about when he wrote. He wrote to the person who is so made that he cannot believe. There are millions of us. There always have been. There are now. There are going to be many more of us in the future. We're just a little bit fed up of being treated like freaks in American culture.
For my belief, do not believe that everyone believes in things that are illogical. I think that, and there are different theologians that approach it differently. I guess the closest, well, not exactly where I am, but Paul Tillich, that talks about a personal God, would be going in the direction that I believe. I believe in my own experiences and my own relationship with God. And that is not based on any illogical, unbelievable act. I do not believe things that are necessarily part of dogma. And I think that Richard, you, or whoever has the right to disbelieve it without being a freak. But I don't think that I am a freak that believes in illogical things, because I believe that the reason the world operates in a certain order is because there is a supreme force that ordered it. And I don't think that, I happen to agree with Richard that I think religion has been one of the most misused things in history. But I don't think that has anything to do with the existence or non-existence of God. I think that has something to do with man's misuse or use of what is absolutely there, and that is a supreme being.
Thank you. We have a lot of questions. Let's get through as many as we can. Sarah.
I wonder if you both might comment on this. In an age when there is so much, as Mr. Hitchens would put it, wonderful secular knowledge that should disprove or replace the value or the importance of religion, all the modern knowledge that we have, why is it that in so much of the world religion is growing rapidly? In the global south particularly, evangelical Christianity is growing at a tremendous rate, and there are plenty of statistics to back that up. And even when people experience the most horrendous evil, they seem to turn in some strong ways towards religious belief. My brother-in-law is a U.S. Air Force chaplain. He served 2 tours in Iraq. He's presently in Afghanistan. He ministers to men and women who have seen horrendous evil and experienced it firsthand. And yet his services are overflowing. He's done many baptisms. Please help us understand a time when the human race should have grown out of all of this. Why is it growing so dramatically? Thank you.
Do you want to first go about?
I'm happy to yield to them. Well, at the risk of being callous, can I be assumed to have gone inaudible? Yeah. I don't think that we should be paying for chaplains. I don't think the US government should be employing any. James Madison's co-author of the Virginia Statute on Religious Freedom and of the First Amendment, therefore, was very adamant on the point, very clear. There shouldn't be, it's flat out unconstitutional to pay or employ a chaplain to open the proceedings of Congress or to be in the armed forces. We can't have chaplains on our payroll. That's that. People who want to pray can't be stopped, but they can do it. Of all the solitary activities, apart from the search for, never mind. Surely that's one that doesn't need a paid state mediator. It's a negation of the American Revolution. So that first. Second, yes, the modernity, involving as it does a huge exchange of technology and population and innovation in a very churning and vertiginous manner, of course means that a lot of lives have to be lived in a very insecure and risky way. And it's not at all unlike our nature as a species to try and cling to stability, certainty, and consolation in those cases. It explains itself, it seems to me. What is notable, though, is that it hasn't come up in thousands of years with any superior explanation to the old ones. It still is going back to myths that were discredited and exploded many years ago, and these, of course, turn out to be false consolations, whereas the consolations of philosophy and of the aesthetic and of the beauty of science and of reason and so on, available to us all the time and really able to explain why things happen, why terrible wounds are inflicted in Afghanistan and so forth. No, that won't do. Let's, like some absolute loser, find the person who Paley means, who says, finds a watch on the beach and thinks, I don't know what this is for, but it seems to tick, it must be for something, but doesn't understand it. We find this wonderful truffle and open it and look at the chocolate and throw it away and then munch on the wrapper. I don't understand it, but I'm one of those who are not made this way.
I think the core of your question, I think that the more mankind learns, the more mankind understands that it does not have all the answers. And that's why people continue to reach and seek answers that is beyond what even in this age we've been able to discover. I think that is why. And I think that there's also the innate emptiness in mankind to always go back to the core of what made mankind in the first place, and that to me is the supreme being. I think that answers the question of why I think the
Sorry.
I thought you got the Holy Ghost or something while I was talking. But I think that's why you see the rise of evangelism.
That's when it Sharpton Hollow moment.
Whether or not I agree with the rise or not is another question. But I think the quest is inspired because of the increased knowledge has not answered the question of where it begins and what governs all of the things that obviously operate in some order and with some precision. And I must say, at the risk of my sounding callous, it amazes me that it doesn't bother you that we spend $2 trillion in a war we should have never been in. You just worry about paying the chaplains to pray over it.
Yeah, well, you see, I don't love our enemies, and I don't love people who do love them. I hate our enemies, and I think they should be killed. And I think that they want to kill me. And I think we could do it probably with half the budget, or maybe twice, but I'm absolutely sure that there should be no country that has a budget that could threaten ours. And I'm not sentimental about the point. I wanted to have another whack at that very question now.
So the people that preach God and love should shut up and remain private, but killers ought to just go and just kill people that they call their enemies. That's very ethical. And
the people who preach Allahu Akbar, the people who preach Allahu Akbar had better find out that there's a stronger force than them, and one that also has unalterable convictions and principles, and that can also be offended, and that they're offended at their peril. That's what I think. Now, to the last question, I just want to have one more run at it.
You already answered.
I know, but if you don't mind.
You tried
twice. When I started hurling myself around like a Sharpton Hollow person.
I understand.
That was because
there's no right or wrong with you, so go ahead. Answer 3 times.
The questions that they come and ask these chaplains are, why? Why does it happen that the nicest guy in my unit just took a round through the throat, you know, that I've just been at this village where all the children have been killed, and where you can fill in this for yourself. Why? That's what the question, isn't it? Well, have you ever heard any spokesman of any religion give an answer to that question? They've had thousands of years to think about it. No, they haven't come up with it.